3, 2, 1.
Hello everyone, Steve Prescott here and
Rebecca Hess
with REMAX Capital Properties coming to you live. It is the end of the year, just about the end of the year. So we thought we could go over a few things, a little bit about what happened in the market, what's happened over some history of our market, what maybe you have in your crystal ball. You have a whole bunch of notes here, which is great. I have one thing, it was arts and crafts, but I'm going to show you that in a little bit. But anyway, we were going to talk about our Merry Mondays that we have going on right now.
So which is a tradition that we have here at REMAX. Every year we do the Merry Mondays. So last week's winner was Marissa Garcia. Congratulations. I know they were excited about that. She was one of several that correctly guessed where our homies have been. And so far homies have been at Dope Slimes, Wrangler Boot Barn in downtown, and Flippers. So we wanted to share with you our clue for week 4. So I'm going to read this, and this is the clue. So we know the holiday season can be busy, but if you have spare time, we recommend stopping by this establishment. There are so many offerings in one location for you to explore, from an indoor gymnasium to horse racing and duck bowling. It is a great location to find refuge during the cold months we are embarking on. Can you guess this week's featured business? That sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's a good place.
Lots to do.
So they have to go on to the page. I think they have to comment where it is.
And
tag a couple people.
2 people, I think.
Yep. And then you're entered for the drawing, $200 cash.
Yeah.
You come in, you get it. It's great. It's perfect this time of year. We go through New Year's.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Who
Merry
can
Mondays.
use $200 extra cash, right? We love that.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's great. Awesome.
So there we got that out of the way. So I guess, we could talk about like what maybe happened over this year in real estate in Cheyenne. I want to make sure that we provide some value for people. So if you had anything you wanted to ask, just put it in the comments and we can hopefully answer your question, but it has to be of value to you. Otherwise we're just sitting here jabbering our jaws.
Which we can do.
Which we like to do. We like to do. I like to do it with Rebecca. She likes to talk. We have a good conversation. So overall, I wanted to show that, people have asked me like, what's the market doing? What has it been doing? And so I did this arts and craft project. And so here it is. I took about 5 to 10 minutes before this.
Pretty good.
And so what do we have here? This bottom row is our years, and this goes back 10 years. So this goes back to 2015 up to just year to date for this year. These numbers along the side are our number of transactions, number of homes that have sold in Laramie County for these years. So,
and this is all homes across all price ranges, everything.
Everything in Laramie County, just Laramie County. I kept it very broad. No other counties, just Laramie County. But here in 2015, we started around 2,000 homes sold for the year. And so that has been, historically a pretty normal feeling market for us. Even before 2015, we had the Great Recession in 2009 or 2007 through 2009. Things got really slow. We had like 900 homes on the market, and so then it kind of stabilized in about 2011, and then we got used to some of these numbers around 2,000 homes sold a year. So that felt pretty normal for agents, brokerages, for buyers and sellers in our market. Then as time increased, you can see we kind of started to tick up, and then we went through our COVID period, which everyone was moving everywhere in the United States, and everyone knows what happened there. It just got super crazy. We had a lot of influx from people from Colorado, California, Idaho, Oregon,
a lot of remote workers who could go wherever they wanted to work and came here.
Working remotely, So at our high time in 2021, we went up to 2,300 homes sold. That's a big jump from just 2,000. So that's 300 homes, more homes sold from what we were kind of used to. And that's actually, there's 2 transactions per side per home. There's a buy side with a buyer and a sell side of a seller. So that's a big change between 2000 to 20. We got 600 more transactions really
in that 1 year.
So then things started to change a little bit. And as you can see, we started to drop quite a bit. And it felt really weird in the real estate industry. We've been in the business, I've been in the business a long time. You've been in how many years now?
8 years.
8 years. So you've experienced some different things, but nothing like that. It was like a really big slowdown. And I think it caught a lot of people by surprise, including our market and our buyers and sellers. So as you can see, things really started to go down. And in 2023, we dropped to under 1,600 homes sold in Laramie County. It's stabilized some now, and here at year to date we end at 1673 so far for homes selling in Laramie County. So I just wanted to give you kind of a graphic, like a visual of what's happened in our market. A lot of people have said, you know, it's kind of felt the same, but for someone in the business and us in the business, it hasn't felt the same. It's felt like a pretty big slowdown. So I think what we should talk about from a value standpoint is, what does it look at? What's the messaging for buyers and sellers? So if you were to talk to buyers and sellers right now, what do you think? What's your opinion? And I'll give my opinion. Maybe we'll see if they cross paths or not.
So I think looking at this makes me second guess what I think, because when you see it in a graph like that, I'm like, oh, that's a big difference. But I think the market here is always a good market. I did pull up some numbers, you know, compared to nationally where we stand, and in comparison, Cheyenne is just a stronger market always. So whatever our graph looks like, you know, across the United States, it's going to be a lot
totally different,
right? So I think Cheyenne's always a good market. I know 2025, I was busy. It felt busy. I had a lot of first-time home buyers, a lot of investors still out there, and it felt like a really strong market. So that's what I think. That's what I tell both sellers and buyers. I do think we are stabilizing a little bit, coming off of that. It feels so far away, 2020 with COVID. It feels like it was just yesterday, but it was really quite a ways away. But to see where we've come from that, I feel like we're getting more into a stable market, a lot less of the roller coaster up and down is what I think. But like I said, I think Cheyenne just traditionally continues to be a very strong market either way for a buyer or a seller is what I'm thinking.
Well, it's very true. We're different than you know, we have some great friends in Florida, and talking to him, he has so many homes on the market in his own subdivision, and it's a beautiful subdivision, has homes right on the canal, but they've really dropped in property values, and there's so much inventory. Here, what's really interesting, our inventory just at the end of this year has really ticked down. I just looked before we got on here. 299 homes is what's available for sale right now. Excuse me. So,
and I think, sorry to interrupt you, but I think 3 months ago we were around 100 more than that.
Almost 400.
So and that's what I've been telling my sellers. I'm like, there's not a lot on market, so I wouldn't hesitate putting a house on market right now. That doesn't scare me. We're doing it with our own personal house. It's not the market that's slowing us down. It's us getting our work done in the house, but we're doing that. And I tell my sellers, I wouldn't wait to put it on. The inventory is low right now.
So I think you're right on the point. I mean, I think this is, you know, back in COVID, we talked about the new norm. This is a little bit of the new norm, I think, in our real estate market right now, just with the current environment with interest rates and that. But my messaging to buyers right now is, if you're considering buying, you know, I know there's a lot of hope and want that the interest rates are going to drop. I don't see in the future, near future, that that's really going to happen that much. We did have just an adjustment maybe a week, 2 weeks ago, and that may filter into the mortgage industry rates, but it's not enough of an adjustment where you go, holy cow, now's the time to do it. Other than, you know, there's going to be a point where as a buyer, you're going to have to either, you know, upsize, downsize. Life changes, things happen, unfortunately, divorce and death, and all those things happen. So it's not really realistic to just hold out. I think at some point you got to accept kind of what's happening and just do it. Do what you can do. So for buyers, here's the deal. There's a decent amount of inventory, but there are a lot of, I think, good deals to be had.
I think so too.
We have some new construction that in our office, some other new construction that's been on the market quite a while, and there are some really nice incentives being out there, and people are really wanting to sell their home. And so we may be a little late at this point, because I think there's a mindset of a seller to say, I got to get this place sold before the end of the year. But from a buyer's perspective, I think you still have some opportunities to leverage what's happening in our market. A little bit slower market, our average days on market are up. So I think a buyer has some great options right now and can leverage some things. From a seller's perspective, I agree. I think it's good to put your home on the market. With that said, I think there's it's not a time or a market strength where you can say, let's put it out there for quite a bit and see what happens, because you have to have a strategy. You have to have your property well presented, you know, looking great, and have a strategy, a marketing strategy, instead of just willy-nilly kind of throwing it out there to see what's going to happen. So you got to be
I agree. And I think there was a time for that, maybe 2023, 2024, after we were coming off of that hot market. We were seeing a lot of that. But I definitely agree with sellers. Now's the time, really price it right. There's the inventory is not high, but the buyers, we don't have, like I said, it's evened out a little bit. And I think if you can be smart with your pricing and not overprice what you're selling, be really good, listen to your agent, look at the market, look at your neighborhood, see what's going on, and be really smart. I think you can sell the house for hopefully what you want for it, as long as we're not being unrealistic with our prices.
Yeah, and there are some of those folks that are tough. They bought maybe a couple years ago, and it's a little tight, and that just is what it is. But the interesting thing here too, so you look at these numbers and you go, man, this means property values just probably tanked.
No.
And that's what's the real disconnect.
They did not.
Property values have continually gone up.
Yes.
We're still, for this year, we're still on like a 4 or 5% gain or appreciation on property values.
Well, and I pulled up something on that. I looked at nationally what it is. Nationally, prices still went up, 1 to 3%. And here in Cheyenne, we're 2 to 4%. So we are higher on our prices than what we've seen nationally. So yes, prices did not go down.
Yeah. So let's go back. You're going to sell your house.
I am. Well, we hope. Yes, we are, because we're going to price it right. We're going to sell it. Yes.
So I have this confession I have to make. Out of 32 years in real estate, I've never sold one of my homes. Like, I've never sold my home. And so it's like going to a surgeon. One time I went to a surgery and I asked the guy doing the surgery, I said, what's this going to feel like on my back? And he goes, I don't know. I've never had a surgery. And I'm like, man, here I preach to all these sellers, like, this is what you got to do. So are you prepared for this? Or
it has been exactly that. Like they say, doctors are the worst patients. I am like the worst. It's got to be perfect, and this has to be done. If this was me walking into somebody else's house, I'd be like, no, that's fine. That's fine. Maybe do that, but that's fine. And me, I'm like, no, everything has to be done. And maybe it's because professionally, I know my peers are going to be walking in and out of my house. I don't know, and I have to represent. I don't know, but it's stressful. I have a lot more compassion now than I did. I mean, I try to be compassionate anyway, but I feel for these sellers, it is stressful.
It is, and I never, before, when I first got in real estate, I never had kids. So I would go into a seller's house and be like, you guys have this picked up. It's got to look nice all the time. And they're like, it's so hard. And then I had kids, and I'm like, there is no way I could do this.
For sure. And pets now. We have pets too. Yeah. I'm like, oh my gosh, no, I understand.
Now, how about pricing? What's it feel like, how'd you come in with pricing? Did you have some other ideas from people, or?
Yes, and we did have an appraisal on the house a couple years ago, so we had that to go on. But looking at this trend, we are pricing below where that appraisal came in because we are seeing, not the prices have come down, but what we're looking at the market as far as competition and the buyers that are out there and things. So we're going to price below where that appraisal came in a few years ago, hopefully to get it moving. Yeah. Because I don't want it to sit forever. So hopefully that is the right strategy. I think it's the right strategy. My husband and I have talked about it, and that's what we're going to do. But there is some temptation from a seller's perspective to be like, price it where I want every penny I can get out of this.
It's human nature.
Yeah, absolutely. So trying to be conscientious of that and making the right decision on that, on the price is where we're kind of at. And we've been finishing up some work, and every time we finish something, we're like, oh, maybe it's worth more now, right?
I put in some new lights. How much did that add in my value? Well,
I know, and I have to remind myself what I know, right? Okay, calm down and let's stick where we were at and where we came in on price, and hopefully we'll get it sold pretty quickly.
So how about kitchen? Is your kitchen kind of remodeled?
It is.
Oh, so that's always a good return on investment.
And we just finished a new bathroom,
bathrooms,
yeah.
Kitchens and bathrooms are the big ones.
Yeah, we have new windows that we put in a few years ago.
I think a buyer can appreciate that.
That's part of our problem too, is we started working on this 4 years ago, so I can't actually say new windows. They're 4 years old. Newer.
Newer is the word we use in real estate.
Right. So I'm
there are certain words. Cozy, newer. They all have a different meaning usually.
Yeah. Well, if you were to look at my house on MLS from when we bought it 16 years ago, it does not look like the same house. So I'm proud of that. We've done a lot of work to it. But yeah, there's some temptation there. I want to get my sellers every penny we can out of the house for them. That's my goal. But I understand realistically from a seller perspective now, I need to be wise with our pricing. So, yeah.
Well, like we talked that strategy for a seller, and I've used this with a few sellers recently, is that they will, I'll tell them, this is where I really truly think, I don't want to blow any smoke, this is where I think the pricing should be. And they'll say, well, I really think we should maybe be about 10 or 15,000 higher. Mm-hmm. So I'll ask them, I'd say, well, so if we are priced at this price I'm mentioning at 10,000 lower, would you agree that that's a really good price? And they will usually say, yes. So my position is, so if we price it at that, we could encounter multiple offers if it's truly a great price, right?
Yeah.
So
sure.
maybe we'll end up somewhere in the middle if it's truly a great price. And so that gives them something to think
Yeah.
about, like to try to get more, I say, realistic on pricing.
Yeah.
It's just amazing how in tune the buyers can be for pricing, and they know what's out there and they know what they're trying to get.
Oh man, I actually have a buyer I'm working with right now, and she knows everything. Like, she has done her homework,
Yep.
and she runs the numbers by me and things that she's looking at. And we've been looking with these clients for about 8 months now, and we are under contract right now. But she's definitely finding a lot of her information online. And so I feel like as an agent, I have to be prepared and be able to answer the questions she has, because she's looking, she knows.
Yeah.
Yeah. They are.
So it's gotten better. I would say, you know, when Zillow first came out and was launched, a lot of people went to Zillow to look at Zestimates and see what their home was worth. And the difference with that in Wyoming is that we're a non-disclosure state.
Yeah.
So we're not reporting sold prices to Zillow. And so their matrix that they use, it's gotten a lot better. But it's still not 100% accurate. But there are a lot of other valuation tools out there. And I think if you gather a lot of information, kind of triangulate a price, kind of look at the county assessment, some of these prices, you get a pretty good idea. And that's where these buyers are getting all this information to know what things should be priced at.
Yeah, I think so too. I was thinking about, if you were to ask me, just describe the market for 2025, I think what it really boiled down to for me, and this isn't helpful, I know, but it feels like there was no rhyme or reason what was happening one week to the next. And that's kind of how it felt for me. I felt like we would go through several weeks of just busy, and then it would be dead for 10 or 12 days.
Right.
Then it would pick up again. But there was no, normally you could say traditionally, well, we're going to slow down in the winter, we're going to pick up in the summer, and it all over the place this year. Like, I could not have totally predicted what my busiest months would have been back in the beginning of 2025, because there was just didn't feel like there was any rhyme or reason. And I do think with the interest rates, it's come down so slowly. There has not been that big push, that something that has happened and just pushed it and it's picked up like that. It's just been kind of all over the place.
So let's look in your crystal ball.
Crystal ball for 2026. What does it say?
What do you have?
So, well, my personal prediction is I think 2026 is going to be a busy year. I think it is going to be a good year for real estate. But looking at this, I think it is going to be more of a traditional year, what we saw here before we hit COVID, is I think what we're going to see. I think our value is still going to go up. People are going to be gaining more equity in the house, and I think maybe we'll be above that 4%, 4 to 6% is what I think.
Okay.
I think Cheyenne, the real estate market, is always a good bet for investment. I preach that. I love that. I think that it's there. I do think more people, as we've gone through 25 without any big major drastic changes in our interest rates. I think 2026 is going to be the same. I do think our current administration has some knowledge in this area possibly, and we'll see what happens. Maybe they'll do something like they've talked about, and that may change things. But I think if everything stays as is, even with some slight adjustments in interest rates, we're going to stay pretty steady, I think, all year. I think maybe we'll see more transactions by the end of the year than we did this year. More homes sold. Prices will probably go up. But I do think buyers and sellers are going to be sitting about pretty even. I don't necessarily think it's going to be a seller's market or a buyer's market. I think it's going to be able to find value for both. Okay. Is my prediction.
Well, that's a good prediction. I think it's right in line with mine. I think I'm hoping to see maybe a 10% increase in total homes sold in our area. I think, it's interesting. I was on an economic panel and I had to look up some commercial data too. And commercially, we haven't had, a lot of people would think over COVID that everyone started working from home and the commercial world kind of crashed, which it has in a lot of areas, big cities, metropolitan areas. In Cheyenne, it's been still stable. That we've had about 30 to 40 commercial properties selling every year, and that's been back another like 8-10 years from that. So I looked it all up, and they're still selling. So that's still stable here as well. So I hope to have a little bump in transactions. I agree. I think we're still going to see an incline in property values. They're going to go up. Nothing major that's going to send a shockwave through the market to say, oh, everyone do this or jump off this or whatever. But I think it's you just have to make the decision if you're needing to buy. It's going to be just a piece of acceptance of what we have with our interest rates, and hopefully you can make that work. I know it's extremely expensive. Everything, the expenses are just crazy high, and it's painful. We're just going through that with insurance. Self-employed insured is really tough, and boy, the prices, some of those tax credits are gone now. that has skyrocketed.
Yeah,
for
well,
a lot
I
of people.
think, well, we are seeing some things start to come down with gas prices and some prices in the stores and stuff. Like I said, I have 2 buyers right now that have kind of been on the fence for quite a while, and they're both under contract to close in January. So I think they've hit that point where they're like, we're ready to do this instead of just holding out.
Yep.
And then I did have a seller call me panicked because he heard that the market was going to crash and had to talk him off the ledge, right? Because the market's not going to crash, and I do not believe that's going to happen. And now his house is under contract. So I just think there's still sales to be made, right? Still homes to be sold, and there's buyers who can get out there and find what they're looking for. I am curious though, because you work with your builder, you work with new homes. What do you think we're going to see with new home sales versus existing homes? Do you think it'll be a stronger market? Because I feel like, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I feel like when we were going through COVID, we were selling a lot more new homes. They were going faster and we were selling.
So that was before all the prices with construction went crazy and materials. I did hear from builders that like lumber packs have gone down. So lumber cost is down.
It's down.
The problem is that they're experiencing a lot of price increases for trades. And we have a lot of electrical companies that are losing their employees to the data centers that are being built. And that's a struggle. So when you have fewer people, you have more demand on your company, you have more, your prices have to go up because you just have to make more. The good thing is they have a lot of business, but they're struggling to get that.
So work done.
I think, and then the other piece of that is the affordability of land. And land prices are just not coming down. And we're limited, especially rurally and even in town. You know, the cost to develop infrastructure, the cost to just purchase the land, no one is giving it away. We have, you know, as a landowner, you go, well, this is what we've been getting, and this is what I need to get. Like no one's dropping off the price of their land. So then you still have to pay this, you have to do all the infrastructure, the cost, the development cost, the city, county, very expensive. And so that's not coming down. So I think new construction wise, still going to be a little sluggish. I think existing homes will be a higher sale. And it's just because of costs and people that what they can afford in the price range.
That's what I was thinking too. I do think with existing homes, hopefully we see in 2026, now that things are going to normalize a little bit, I guess, or balance out maybe a little bit more throughout the year. I'm hoping we see more first-time home buyers coming back in. I did have a couple this year, and that was fantastic. That's one of my very favorite things is I've had my own kids buy homes, and I love that. And so hopefully we start to see that. I know that the programs we have in Wyoming, they really do make an effort to make it affordable for these first-time home buyers to get into houses. So I'm hoping to see more of that in 2026.
I hope so too. I talked to a few business owners. I was at a bank meeting, and they were like, hey, our kids are living with us and they feel like they'll never be able to buy something. And so I feel as a responsibility as a parent, we still need to push on them to say it's okay to buy. And you know, you may have to lower your expectations. Maybe your expectation shouldn't be, you know, quartz tops, and you may have to put in some sweat equity into a property, but get into the market, get into building wealth through real estate, and make sure you're doing the research on the right market where you're going to buy. You know, our daughter's going to Texas to for a job in August, and I told her you need to buy something. So we're excited to go look and buy something. It's very reasonable there, so I think she's going to do okay. But even here, like, it's okay to tell your kids, get into this market, buy some real estate, because I tell you what, 20 years from now, you look back and you own these homes. Hopefully you can keep some homes and continue to buy homes, and you will look back and go, man, that was great that we did that.
I agree.
In Cheyenne, I have never ran into someone that said, I wish I wouldn't have bought that because I lost my rear. It just doesn't happen.
It doesn't happen. I agree.
So the messaging for young people, I think, get out and buy.
And I know we went through a period, maybe early 2025, where people were saying it was actually cheaper to rent than to actually buy just because interest rates were so high. We're back down to about 6% right now. And I think it'll sit there, maybe come down a little bit more as we go into 2026. So I don't think we're there anymore. I think that it's probably a better deal to buy something versus rent at this point. I know as a landlord, our rents haven't gone down.
No.
Right? They're not going to go down. They're going to go up, if anything. So I would say, you know, first-time home buyers, get out there and look at these options that you have. I think it's a great thing. Yeah. Well,
I think we're good on time. I hope we provided some value for folks and some insight into the market. It's still great. Stable market in Cheyenne will continue to be. Everyone's happy about that. A little bit of a new norm in the amount of homes, days on market, but things are still great. So, well, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to everyone.
Everybody be safe. Have a great Christmas.
Take care.